A good yoga practice is something that will radically change your life. And so many people are not tapping into the right practice. Many of my students will come to me when they have reached either a plateau in their practice or they are just yearning for better information in how to move their bodies, or they have injuries from a practice that they had just done. And so it's really important that when you take on a yoga practice, that you are doing a practice that is really going to serve the body. Because if you're not doing the right practice, if you're training under a teacher that doesn't actually know how the alignment of the body is meant to be, or they're moving through a practice too quickly and can't actually support your deeper alignment, then oftentimes what I see is that students will get injured. And so injuries are always from overworking a muscle or moving too quickly in the practice or not having the right alignment. And so what sets this practice, the Katonah Yoga practice, apart from so many other practices is it's not actually about the muscles of the body at all. It's not about efforting your way through the poses. It's not about, how much you're sweating. It's actually about learning where to access the center of the bones in the postures through the geometry that you set up in each pose. So this means that you're not moving through the postures quickly, because when you move through them quickly, you don't have enough time to actually set up your posture, right? And so in the Katonah Yoga practice, you're moving through a lot slower because you're taking the time to measure out your own body, because your whole body is a measuring stick for itself. And so it's like, you are a ruler, right? You have little rulers inside of your whole body that's going to allow you to know how to place your hands shoulder distance. It's not arbitrary. To know how to place your feet hip distance, right? It's 1 foot distance, so that your heels are directly in the center of your butt bones, so that when you're doing your dog pose too wide or your forward fold too wide, what ends up happening is you tighten the glute muscles. And if your feet are turned out, right, you're going to be overstretching your inner groins. You're going to be tightening the sacrum. And so every little place that you're doing a pose misaligned, not with archetypal or universal alignment inside of you, these are little deals that you're making and little stress points that are building in your body. And so that's why it's so important that when we come to the mat and we do our yoga practice, it's really for our life. It's to know that every time we come onto the mat, what we're doing is we are actually cultivating tools in which we can move into a more aligned way of being. And so by coming onto the mat every day, right, which I really encourage you to try to set up the time and the space, because it will only give you more time. What you're doing is you're measuring yourself out so that you start your day aligned with yourself. And so our body is influencing, it's an energetic match to everything we're giving off that is coming back to us. And so if we're moving from a misaligned place, it's always going to feel like life is really clunky. Like, experiences are coming to us that we're like, why would this happen to us? Why does this keep happening to me? And so what we really come to realize in this practice when we set ourselves up in a really aligned way is that we align and we calibrate our energy, right? Because what we're doing in the yoga practice is, yes, we're working on the physical body, but you can't change the physical body without changing the energetic body, without changing like your soul body. And so we're moving into these more ethereal dimensions that are coexisting in one place in the center of time, which is where you are in this moment right now, listening to the words that I'm saying, right? You have access to all of it right now. And so when you learn to align your body, it's not just to have alignment, it's to literally move into alignment in every aspect of your life. And so I tell my students all the time, and the ones that work deeply with me or do teacher trainings with me, your life will change very radically when you take up this practice and you do it consistently through time. Because the world can't help but reflect your new alignment, right? The new aligned reality that you're feeling in your body. And so it's beautiful, and change is also hard sometimes. And so there's a certain amount of readiness and willingness that students have when they come to me, that they're ready for their life to change, that they're ready to feel incredibly good in their body, that they're ready for information that is not just made up. Like, your body is designed so immaculately with specific measurements that you can measure yourself. Your knee fits into your armpit. If it doesn't, your back muscles are tight. Like, when you can start to see this and start to play with these pieces of your body, you come to the codes of the universe. All of it is so intricately measured out, mapped out. And what we're doing in the practice is we're actually creating maps for our own body so that we can travel through our own inner territory, which allows us to travel through the territory of life with more ease. And so yoga is not just, yeah, come on your mat and get an exercise or stretch. Like it's not stretching and it's not exercising. That's what gym class is for. That's what stretching class is for. Yoga is all about balance, right? We are balancing hatha, the sun and the moon. And so when we're working on these deeper layers of balance, it's also about balancing the cosmic energies that are influencing you. Like everyone knows that during times of a full moon, it makes us scattered in our minds, right? You can go outside and you can feel it. If you're in the woods, you'll hear it. And so what we're doing on that full moon is we're looking on grounding our body down. If everything's rising up, we need practices that pull us down, right? If it's summer and there's so much of you that's being pulled out, you need practices that are going to allow you to go within and have a moment to yourself so you can keep recalibrating yourself to the demands of the world. And in the spring or the summer of your life, like your summer of your life holds more demands. And so there's all of these layers that we're adding into the practice that are so much more than stretching, than working out. What we're doing is we're really learning to balance ourselves in the center of our circumstances, in the center of our time and space, right? So that whatever the sun is doing, whatever the moon is doing, like we are aware of all of it. Because true power is when you are aware of what is going on around you, right? You are going to feel very powerless if you can't hear and there's a car coming behind you, right? You're going to feel very powerless if you can't see what's coming your way, if you get blindsided, right? And it's not that you did anything wrong, it's that you didn't develop the awareness to see it coming. And so that's why this practice works holistically through all of the body, right? When we do our twists and our turns, it's so that we can see everything that's going on around us and start to gain insights into where we can't twist to, into where we can't turn to, into what we can't see, because these are just aspects of our mind that we can't access. And so we're here really developing perspective, right? We're trying to get life from every angle. And so you don't need to like go to a temple to have your mind-blowing experiences. Like the temple is your life. It's your day-to-day. It's what's being reflected back to you at all times. And so when we can approach the practice in this way, when we can truly put ourselves in the center of our circumstances, knowing what the moon is doing, knowing what season we're in, knowing what season of our life we are in, knowing the obligations that we have for the day, knowing what we're here to rise to in each day, knowing our bigger purpose for ourselves, it gives us the tools in which to live our best life, right? And that's why yoga is not stretching and it's not gym class. Like that's so boring, right? We are literally here to recalibrate our entire reality so that we move into a state of grace, a state of ease, because that is what our natural state is. And so we approach this practice with the first law of Buddhism is that suffering is real. And the second law is that you can eradicate your suffering. And so, you know, in the separate ego mind, we are separating ourselves from reality. When we come to the practice, we're realizing that we are all of reality, right? We are all whole. And so when we can come to that and we can see everything as a reflection, then we really rise into self-ownership, self-responsibility, right? There's no more I'm a victim of life or life is happening to me. It's that I am creating all of this. I'm co-creating my whole reality that I see. So now that I know that, what are the tools I'm going to adopt so that I can be empowered inside of myself, so that I can make the changes that I need, so that I can live my best life, so that I don't feel like I'm a victim of my circumstances. And so the practice is one of the most powerful ways that you can access, right, all of the dimensions of yourself through all time and space. And so we come to work in the body in this 3D experience because it's the one thing that we've really given a lot of weight to in this 3D dimension. Right? We talk so much about the material world. Science piecemeals, right? All of our organs and all of our glands piecemeals our body and thinks that it can understand it. But in the practice, what we do is we come to make it all whole. And we're here to work with our body as a whole unit so that it functions efficiently, because you can't take the piece out of the whole, right? You can, but you miss a lot of the mystery within it, because you're not just two kidneys and two lungs and a heart and, you know, like a thyroid gland and a pineal gland and a thymus gland. That's like, you know, your immune system. You're a human being having an experience. There's stories, there's layers of mystery that science could never, never, never pierce. And so that's what we're coming to on the mat, is to revel in the mystery of what you are, but also the perfection of the form of the body. And if this perfection and this geometry is found within your body, it's found everywhere as it goes, as above, so below, as within, so without. The microcosm is the macrocosm. And so all we have to do to understand the entire world is to go within and understand ourselves. And so this practice is not just, the base level of like, yeah, let's go to yoga and move and breathe. Like, we are coming here to really change our bodies, to change the habits that are held within our bodies that are from our conditioning and what we've adopted that maybe we didn't need to adopt, right? We come here to essentially remove the layers that are blocking us from feeling incredibly whole, from feeling filled with love at every single moment. Right? We come to our mat to constantly cultivate the tools for our radiance so that as we age, we feel incredible. We keep having more of ourselves to give. We never feel like the world is taking from us because we know how to insource from this eternal wellspring that is inside of us. And so we learn how to cultivate and regulate our energy so that we're not burning out our kidneys and our adrenals, right? Which will show up in the head hair, right? It'll show up in your bones. Your teeth are the first thing that goes when your kidneys are not well, right? When they're not nourished and supported because it's your ancestry, right? It's the bones of you. It's what's been crystallized inside of you from the left leg, your left kidney, which is your maternal, and your right leg, which is your right kidney, which is your paternal. And so you're really here in the center, weaving the dialogue between masculine and feminine, left and right, in and out, up and down. It's the dualities that you're looking to integrate inside of your bodies to make whole again, to decide through conscious choice, what do I actually want for myself? And so the self-awareness piece starts when you're on your mat doing your practice, when you start to unravel these deeper mappings of the body, right? Which is what this whole practice is. It's understanding the maps, the left side of the body being lunar, right? The right side being solar, and the third in the center being your stellar, right? Nature, able to see and discern and delineate and really bring in what's going to serve you, what's going to serve the path of your soul, your dharmic path, right? Because when we're on our dharmic path, our unique mission, life is so easy. It's the path we are meant to walk, but we often fall off of that path because of, the things our parents told us, our society told us, how we were supposed to show up, how we were supposed to be, what job we were supposed to pick. None of that is who you are. Who you are is who you are at your core. You came here to do something that is so unique that no one could tell you what that is. Right? And so it's by learning to observe yourself within the practice, by understanding the maps of the body, right? What the kidneys represent. Your spleen is your mind. You're thinking, you're chewing, you're pondering, you're masticating, exercising good judgment. The spleen showing up in your muscles, right? The rigidity of the muscles being the rigidity of the mind. Like all of this is fractaled and layered within your body, right? Your eyes is the portal to your liver, which is your vision, which is really knowing that vision is linear. And so whatever you're looking at, wherever you're shooting your sights is where you're going to head. And you have to ask yourself if that's what you want, because, time is your most precious resource. So do you really want to head in that direction if it's not what you want? Because then you have to backtrack. Then you waste gas. Then you're not going to get to your destination on time. And so everything that you're doing in your life is a deal that you're making. Is it the deal that you want to make? Right? And so we're using these maps and these metaphors within the body to really learn how to travel through time and space in our bodies so that we can get the most out of life, so that we can get the most out of our mission, so that we can get the most out of the people that are around us, that we're experiencing life with, that we can be willing and giving to those that are around us. And so that is why this practice is your portal and your gateway to every single dimension through all time and space, every single version of yourself. Because at every moment, every second that you're in this present moment, it is a choice point, right? You are choosing which direction to head at every single time. The question is do you want to head in that direction, right? And so if it's habitual, you get to stop yourself and ask yourself, do I want to waste my time doing that? Because your time is directed, it is reflecting your reality. And so when you direct your time differently, a different reality is reflected. And so these are really the skills that, as alchemists, right, they were cultivating, is learning how to change base metal to gold, right? Base metal being normal day to day, unaware that you're a creator, right? Unaware that your body's so mapped out, that it's so perfect beyond measure, right? And then the alchemists knew how to see that. And they cultivated their energy at every single moment because they knew how to direct time, right? They cultivated their health because they knew that they wanted a lot of time to get to where they were headed, right? And they cultivated the deeper understanding and the spiritual knowledge of the codes that were everywhere around them that were reflected within them. And that's why the sun and the moon are really big pieces of the alchemical dialogue, the symbology, right? And so we learn to work with the elements of water, of fire, of earth, right? Of metal and of wood. We learn to work with these elements because they're alive in the seasons and they're awakening specific energies in the body. And so in the fullness of summer, when our heart is open and expanding out, we can know that autumn's coming and it's going to all contract back in. And so what we're here to do is to really clear out anything that we no longer need to take inside of our cave, right, in winter, because that's what autumn's doing, is it's pulling you back within so that you don't get sick, so that you don't get respiratory issues, because in autumn, the lungs awaken. And so when we move through the practice in this way, always changing your practice with the seasons, always shifting your practice to your needs by tuning into yourself every day. What do I actually need today? What is the moon doing? How is this influencing me? What are my demands today? How can I support myself? What you're doing is you're looking to fill up that eternal wellspring inside of you before you step out, before the world starts pulling you off center. You have tools to find your center, so that even if life is stressful, your nervous system doesn't get dysregulated. Your breath doesn't get dysregulated, because the moment you notice it, you slow down your breath. The moment you notice it, you tune within and ask yourself what's happening within you. And so these are really powerful tools in which you cultivate the greatest sense of power within yourself, power that is unshakable, that no matter what happens in your life, you are untouchable, untouchable. And so this is my offering to you, is I'm opening up this virtual yoga space, virtual yoga studio, because when we come together in this way to practice, one of the things that was really hard for me when I had a corporate job like 14, 15 years ago was missing my yoga class, And so I always try to learn inside of my house if I wanted to do yoga. And so this is just a space where you can come and do your yoga practice wherever you are, because it's always accessible to you. And so through, the practices will be moving through the seasons in which organ is awakened in each season through the Taoist philosophy, right? It'll be moving through the phases of the moon together. Of course, it's going to be the Northern Hemisphere. So if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you can still follow along, because the practice will always benefit you. But it's really about learning the deeper understandings of like which organs and glands you're flushing in the posture, right? How to support yourself through each season, how to support yourself through the phases of the moon, how to come to community and grow and learn together. And then every month, a Q&A with me, question and answer for any issues that are coming up in the body or any themes that were arising. And so this is going to be a really beautiful space in which to gather, in which to have ownership over your practice, so that you are showing up to it. However many times you say, maybe you have 5 times that you want to do it each week, or 3 times, like it doesn't matter, right? It's just you having the tools that I have, that I'm going to be sharing with you through the practice, so that you can do it at home, so that you can cultivate your practice, so that, you don't have to actually go and drive there. It's there for you at all times, and you can move between the practices as they grow and as they are uploaded into my private app. So it's going to be a really rich year. And when you can actually navigate your health in this way, it only makes things easier for you. It only makes you have more clarity. Like there's literally nothing that can go wrong when you take better care of yourself, when you understand how your body is mapped, when you understand where you are and ask yourself if where you're headed is actually truly what you want. And so these are the deeper questions that we get to do together, and you get to have that support as you're moving through your own practices. So if that doesn't inspire you to take up a more in-depth practice, then you might not be ready for it. But for those of you that are ready, you will feel the calling in your soul that you're ready for the deeper maps of the body, that you're ready for universal understanding, that you're ready to be able to regulate yourself in any situation in life, that you are just ready to show up for yourself and live the exact life that you desire. Because that thought, that desire, it's not imagination, like it's there because in a dimension in time that is happening. And so all you need to do is to develop the facility to move there with your energy, right? And this is where in this practice you collapse timelines, because the shortest distance between two points isn't a line, it's a fold. So we fold our body. What we're doing is we're really working with the metaphor of collapsing these timelines. So if you think that your future is so far away, 10, 15 years away, what we're doing is we're folding that into you, so that all you have to do is not move through time in the linear sense, but you're actually learning how to shift your energy, to shift the alignment in your body, so that that moment in time comes to you. Right. And so this is where we become really skillful with time. And so you will know if you're ready for this. I'm going to pop a link below for the virtual yoga studio. And so feel free to hop in. We begin September. right? The perfect time to begin when the spleen awakens 18 days before every seasonal change. The spleen is the center, it's the earth energy, right? And so when our spleen is misaligned, we tend to have brain fog. It's hard for us to think properly. We have lethargy, right? Flat arches because the spleen meridian goes up that center point of our arches. And we get dense muscles, right? And so the spleen, the mind, it's all about making it porous, right? And open and available. And then at the equinox, the autumn equinox, we move into the lung energy. And so the metal energy. And this is where we look on twisting and opening up the lungs so that we can clear out any stuff that's stuck in there so we don't get respiratory issues, especially in winter when they'll really sink in there because the energy of winter descends down while autumn contracts. And so when we learn to move skillfully through time with the seasons of your life, with what the moon is doing, by accessing these codes in your body every single day, you will really develop a deep sense of intuition because you're working with those more subtle layers of energy at all times. And so it becomes really easy to make decisions because your intuition is on point. You will know beyond a shadow of a doubt how your body is feeling about something. And so, this stuff is worth its weight in gold. You can't pay there's no amount of money that can just give you this. It's something that you get to cultivate within you, but then it's something that nobody could ever take away from you because you will always have it wherever you go. So I can't wait to see you in there if you're ready.